Hi guys, welcome to another Barb Stamps video. In this video, I've got an amazing manly masculine type card to show you how to make. And also it is one of the cards that's included in my Hats Off Create Where You Are class to go for the month of July 2021. So of course, the Hats Off stamp set and die set, you will need both of these to complete the cards as I have designed them. The class is basically a kit of supplies. So you will get in your kit 12 sheets of the Pattern Party Host Only paper. Whoops, kind of a glare over there. So you'll get 12 sheets of this paper. Super fun. You can use the dark sides for the manly cards and then the fun prints for the cards for the gals. And of course, you could use them for either. You can send girls black and white cards and you can send the guys the floral cards. It's entirely up to you. The kit also includes some sponge daubers, some round and square brads, some rhinestones. We've got some of our fun ombre gift bags. These are going to be awesome looking hats. And then if you want to add the Biggest Wish stamp set to your kit, you absolutely can. So the initial kit is $45. If you need to add the bundle, it's an additional $46.50. And if you want to add the Biggest Wish stamp set, it's an additional $21. So I will be using all these supplies on the cards that are in the class. And if you don't have this stamp set, you can certainly improvise with some other sentiments, but this is a really, really fantastic stamp set. So if you don't have it, I really encourage you to get it because it's really amazing. So let me get my supplies for the first card and I will show you how to create that. Now the rest of the cards are exclusive to the class. You will receive a PDF file from me when the class is ready to go, which is I think July 18th. Is when the PDF files will go out, and then the kits will go out shortly after that. And so you will get your PDF file, which includes a link to all the videos for all the cards. So all of my classes have videos for my projects, which is quite the perk because it does take a bit of time to shoot the video, cut all the projects for the video, edit the video, upload the video, create the tutorial, all that kind of stuff. But it just makes my classes just a little bit better for you. So hold on, let me get the supplies for that first card and I will be right back. All right, here we are. So in your kit, you're going to get enough supplies to make 2 of each card in the class. So there's 4 different cards. So you'll make a total of 8 cards, and each all the cards do have envelopes with them. So you're going to receive a layer of crumb cake that's 3 3/4 by 5, a layer of old olive that is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Our card base is soft suede, which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. And then your layer for the inside of the card is 4 by 5 1/4 with basic white. And then we have some scrap pieces, 1 1/2 by 4 piece of soft suede, a scrap of soft suede, and then a 1/2 by 3 1/2 inch piece of crumb cake. So the first thing I want to do is get some stamping and die cutting out of the way. So we're going to use these pieces here for that. So let me get a scrap paper. All right, because I do need to do a little stamping on this piece here. So I'm going to bring in the hat. This is one of the stamps, the hat stamp. And we're going to ink this up in some soft suede, but we only need the bill of the hat. So just ink up that bill and then stamp that right here on your scrap piece. It's not really a scrap, but it's just an extra little piece. So we've got that. And then we're going to clean this off. Bring in my chamois here. We're going to clean that off. Oops, I just got ink on the outside of my case, so we're going to clean that off too. And I'm going to bring in some old olive ink. And I'm going to ink up the hat once again in old olive. And I'm going to stamp that onto this piece of cardstock here. Okay. So we're going to take this and this over to the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And we're going to cut it out with the hat die. So we're going to place this, we're going to get the bottom part of the hat, we're going to get this full hat here. And then in addition to that, we're going to cut out our buffalo out of our piece of soft suede. We're going to get a small hat from this layer of olive. And I'm also going to cut one of these labels. So I'm going to cut all those pieces and I'll be right back. All right, here we have all of our pieces. We've got our large hat, the small hat, the label. And I forgot to mention before I left, I did die cut this label with this piece here, and then I went back through and then I added the detail with this little die here. Each one of these labels comes with this little detailed die if you want to use it. We've got our bill of our hat, and then we have our little buffalo. Now, being from Wyoming, I kind of thought the buffalo was an appropriate thing to have on the hat, so that's why we're going with the buffalo. You can put anything on there you want. There's a fish, there's a tree, there's a star, so you know, whatever suits whatever you're making the card for, absolutely pick your pleasure there. So I am now going to trim this off the bill. So I'm going to trim it just above the stamped line, so in between the stamped line and the stitched line here. There we go. And then I'm going to adhere this soft suede bill to the old olive. So I'm going to do that with some liquid glue so I can be pretty precise with where I want the adhesive to be. Okay. And then we're just going to attach this, and it should just fit right on there perfectly, right at the base of the hat. Whoops, dropped that. I've got butterfingers. I sliced my thumb open with a can lid the other day. Yikes. I need to pay more attention to what I'm doing. Okay, so we've got the hat done. So now we're going to do a little more stamping. So I'm going to bring in my layer of crumb cake here, and I'm going to bring in a Versamark pad. I'm going to clean my hat image once again, because we're going to be using it with some Versamark, and so we don't need any ink on that, because my Versamark pad is probably yucky enough as it is. It doesn't need any help. So I've got my Versamark pad, and I'm just going to add some hats to this layer of crumb cake here. So I'm going to start about like this, and I do want some of my hat not on the page purposely. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add another hat. And this time I'm kind of turning the hat this time. There we go. And we'll ink it up again. This time I'm going to slide the top of the hat into this open area here. There we go. Okay, and then we've got the back of the hat. We'll just add a tiny bit right there. And then we've got this other little open section right here. Whoa, this thing is getting away from me. So I'm going to put the top of the hat here. There we go. Ink that up again. And then we'll get just the top of the hat again right here. Okay, so we've just got some random hat stamping on here. Then I'm going to bring in the little stamp that has the little tiger face on it. And I'm going to add that to the hats that I just stamped. So we'll just kind of figure out where we want to put those. My ink is quite sticky. There we go. And we'll add it here. Anywhere we can get this image in the hat, we're going to stick it in there. Because obviously it's not going to fit on every image. There we go. And so we've got that layer done. Put our pad away. All right. So now we can do our sentiment. So I've got this little skinny strip here of crumb cake, and I've got the sentiment from the Hats Off stamp set that says "You're the best." So I'm just going to ink that up, and I'm going to stamp it on the strip here. Whoops. There we go. Let that dry for a second. And while that's happening, I wanted to show you a little trick that you can do with your brads, because I do want to add a couple brads to this card. So I'm going to bring in some black ones. I've got a black square and a black circle, if I can find that tiny little thing. Ah, there we go. And if you don't have any way to emboss these, you can use them just as they are black. But if you do have some way to emboss them, I wanted to get them to be copper in color. So I'm going to bring in my copper embossing powder here. And I happen to have a pair of cross-lock tweezers, and so I'm just going to use the cross-lock tweezers so that I don't burn myself. So I'm going to take the tweezers and I'm going to ink up this square in my Versamark here. Oops. Get that back on there. I'm going to ink that up, and then I'm going to dip it into my embossing powder, okay? I'm going to tap it off, and then I'm going to bring in my heat tool. Kind of put the lid on my powder so it doesn't blow all over the place. And I'm going to use my heat tool, and I'm going to melt this. And you saw me dip it in there again. So after I melted it, I immediately dipped it back in there. And since it was still hot, it picked up some more powder. I just feel like it gives it a lot nicer finished look to it. It's really nice and smooth that way. So we have our square brad done. So now I'm going to do the same thing with this little circular one. So the first thing I want to do is get it all inky with my Versamark pad. And we're going to do the same thing. And I am going to double dip it again. Okay, so I have my two brads done, and like I said, if you don't have embossing powder, you can just leave them black. It'll look fine. And so now I want to add them to my card. So I thought typically ball caps have a little thing at the top, and you can see there is a little thing at the top of this. So I'm going to bring in one of our piercing mats and my take your pick tool, and I'm going to poke a little hole at the top here of my ball cap. Okay, and I'm going to put my little circular brad in there, and I'm going to attach it to the hat. So I'm just going to press that into place, and if you have to, you can manipulate your brad legs on the back. And then I find if I press it down onto a hard surface that it sets really nicely that way. Okay. So now we can assemble everything, and we'll use our other brad here. So I'm going to add liquid glue to this piece. And all that die cutting that we did out of it is going to be hidden by our crumb cake layer that we did all of our stamping on. So I'm just going to add my glue around this opening. And then I can just add this. And there's just a very small border, as you can see. It's about 1/16 of an inch. Okay. And then we're going to add this to the front of the card. I think I want the large hat up there at the top. And I think I'll do that with some dimensionals. All right, so let's go ahead and add this layer with some dimensionals. Okay, peel the backings off all of those. And get this onto the card front. Okay. Then we've got our little sentiment piece here, and I'm going to trim this just a bit, and I'm going to flag the end here. There we go. And then I'm going to get this in, but I'm going to leave a little bit more on this end because I do want to add my brad here. So I'm going to bring in my take your pick tool again, and I'm just going to kind of go in between the edge of the phrase and the edge of the paper. Poke my hole, slip that in there, and I'm going to turn it so that it's kind of on the diagonal, or a diamond shape is what it's going to look like. And then I'm going to bring the legs around here. And I have found that you can clip them off if you have some old scissors, if you don't need the legs to be quite as long as they are, which in this case we don't. You can get some scissors, and again I'm going to press it into something that's hard. Get that out of the way. All right, and we're going to just add this to our card right there. I think we'll go with some dimensionals, some minis maybe. And we'll kind of go around the brads. And we'll just get this right down here at the bottom. And then our label piece, we're going to take a sponge dauber and the old olive ink. And I'm just going to add a tiny bit of dimension to this. Since it's the same color as the hat, I kind of want it to pop off the front of the hat just a bit. And this is a great way to do that by adding some additional color. So you can take some of the sponge dauber, a sponge dauber that's in your kit, and you can add that. And you can kind of see how that really gives it that nice dark edge so it'll pop off. All right, so let's get these added to the hat. So we'll just add some glue here. And there's a little spot right here on the hat for these labels. There we go. And then of course we're going to add our cute little buffalo. I'm going to add some glue to him as well. Oh my gosh. This just reminds me of home. We actually have some buffalo in our town. We have kind of a park, I guess you could call it, where they have some elk and buffalo. And you can just go, when the kids were little, we would go to Dairy Queen and get some ice cream, and then we would just go park on the side of the road and watch them. So they're enclosed in like fencing. It's over, you know, a few acres of land, and they can just roam free in there. It's pretty cool. All right, and we're going to add our hat. There we go. And then finally for the inside, we've got this small little hat that we die cut, and we're just going to add some glue to that. And we'll just stick that down here at the bottom. And then we can add this to the inside of our card. All right. Get that in there, and then for your envelope, if you want, we can add the little tiger to the front. Ooh, we can add this mountain scene. That's what we're going to do. Let me pull that out and get a block. There we go. And then at the bottom of the envelope here, we can bring in our soft suede, and we'll just add some fun detail down here. We can even go so far as to add it to the back of the envelope too. All right, and we can just add that right to the flap. So we have that fun, and then we have our card. We've got a little bit of fun on the inside. Be sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up if you wouldn't mind, and subscribe to my channel right down here in the corner. And of course, all the links for the class information are in the description of this video, and I hope you have a fantastic day.